Glad to see you again.
You have the gall to show me your face again? I'll call the guards.
Hold your horses. I'll come in peace. Actually, I have a little offer for you.
You've come to blackmail me again?
Call it what you like. I need to get into the City Council Assembly. And I reckon you can help me.
The Assembly? The one King Sigismund is supposed to attend in person?
Surely you wouldn't deny me a chance to meet the king?
Don't try that on me. This is connected with Ruthard, isn't it? And tell the truth.
I want to know what Sigismund tells the council. I hear it'll be important.
You want to spy? Do you know what you're risking? And what I'd be risking? Forget it.
Have you forgotten I have you over a barrel? If you want to keep your position and your head on your shoulders, you better shape up.
All right, all right. Maybe we can make a deal. If I get you into the council, you'll behave appropriately and you won't betray yourself, or especially me. And that will be the end of our business together.
I must have misheard you. Our collaboration is only just beginning. Quill warrior.
Are you deaf, you impertinent pup? I repeat, I'll get you to the assembly, and there ends our business. Over and done with.
All right. Have it your way. So?
You can get into the council assembly relatively easily. My cook's son will be serving there. He's roughly around your age. Maybe he can be persuaded to let you stand in for him. Although, not everyone would want to give up an opportunity to serve the King of Hungary.
What would work on him? How can I persuade him to give me his job?
Would you like me to give you a letter for him? I told you how to get to the assembly. Now do your part.
Where can I find the cook's boy?
He's supposed to pick up his new clothes at the market today from Master Tailor Schneider. You'll almost certainly run into him there. That is, if he's up and about after his boozing bout. I swear that fellow practically lives at that Tin Hen.
At the what?
That German alehouse, the Iron Eagle. That is Zum Eisernen Adler.
Who's this boy?
Franter's his name. Franter Cooldown. He's an idler and a boozer, but he's proved his worth as a waiter. Which reminds me, you'll need his letter of permission to serve in the council. Otherwise, you won't be let inside.
What will I need to work as a waiter there?
Fast feet and good manners. And the livery of a royal waiter.
Excuse me?
Or do you think you can serve the king in a torn shirt and muddy hose?
Well, no. But I never heard about any livery before.
Our usual waiter had a brand new livery made specially for meeting the king. Don't even show up there without it.
I'll be going then. See you at the council.
Just make sure we both come out of it alive.
Two pots. I've got I nearly left my fingers on them for buttons.
Big,
I'll tell you, you won't get work.
Greetings. I'd like to...
Surely you can wait a while. I have a customer here. Here you are. The finest fabric. Intricate work. You won't find the likes anywhere else in this town.
No more than I'd expect after the amount they cost. Thanks. I'll gladly recommend you if anyone asks. And you impatient fella, what was it you wanted?
You must be Franta Cooldown.
I am. And who might you be?
I'm Henry. I heard you're supposed to serve at the City Council Assembly.
I am. What's it to you?
Supposing I took the job on for you. You can put your feet up, fill your belly, and I'll do all the work for you.
Look here. It's not like I'm all that keen on it, but it's well paid. Apart from that, it's a bit of a pain in the arse. Them councillors stuffing their faces and guzzling wine, while I run around like a bugger with pitchers so they don't run dry. Why would you want to stick your nose in there?
Let me put it another way. How much do you want for your place?
Finally, some sensible talk. But it won't come cheap. When I count it all up, new clothes, wages, a backhander to get in there at all, Not to mention the coin I'd make in other places if I could say I served the King of Hungary.
All right, here you are, you daylight robber.
To begin with, you'll need confirmation that you've worked as a waiter at the council and you're capable of serving even His Majesty. Look here. Do you have any idea what's expected of you? Can you tell different wines apart and that?
Of course. Who do you take me for?
All right. No need to get upset. Show the confirmation to the head butler. Tell him I sent you and think up some good excuse. Clear?
That makes sense.
And you'll need a waiter's livery. I had a brand new one made. Here it is. I look like a prick in it. Hopefully it'll sit better on you. The main thing is, don't lose it before the assembly or get it covered in shit.
Thanks. I won't disgrace you, I promise.
You better not.
Broadcloth, beautiful colours, striped fabrics.
Franta Cooldown sent me. I'm to stand in for him at the council assembly.
Franta's not coming. What's wrong with him?
He got poisoned. Probably from food. He's writhing in agony. By turns praying and cursing, spewing from both ends.
Oh, that's enough. All right. At least you're here.
We can't be without a waiter here, when the king himself will need waiting on. So, let's have a look at you.
Have you got Franta's certificate?
Sure. Here it is.
Everything's in order. Now, about your livery. You know a good waiter by his properly seated cap, and you don't have one at all. Without a tunic, you're no royal waiter, just a common alehouse boy. And have you forgotten your hose? I can't let you into the chamber without them. You can put your steel aside in front of the council chamber, along with your other stuff. You won't be needing it anyway. You don't want to be dragging a load if you're running around tables. The royal waiter's livery has strict rules. So get changed quick and come back on time.
Here I am.
Let's have a look at you then. You've got a waiter's cap, a tunic you have. Hose are good. You can put your steel aside in front of the council chamber. You don't want to be dragged. Everything as it should be. Glad to see it, lad. Do you know what your duties are? For an inexperienced greenhorn like you, it'll be a great responsibility.
Well, I'll happily listen to any advice. I wouldn't want to foul things up.
I should certainly hope not. Now listen. A good waiter should stand in a corner, look willing and ready, and not get in anyone's way. In short, behave as if you're not there. But when one of the gentlemen calls for wine, you run and pour it for him on the double. You'll find the pitchers on a table by the door to the chapel. You take one and go to their table and pour for them. White Tokai or red monastery wine.
White or red, by the door to the chapel. Got it.
But for Councillor Adam of Zarzhitz, you must not pour at all. When he drinks, he disrupts and makes trouble. So the assembly has to be interrupted, or otherwise it never reaches an end. We can't allow that to happen in the presence of the king.
All right. Sir Adam of Zarzhitz stays dry.
And if the king himself wants wine, you pour for him with lowered eyes. Don't look at him. And the most important thing?
To stay in the background and keep quiet until someone asks me something.
Correct. The councillors have a lot to discuss, and they certainly don't need any interruptions. And in general, a good waiter has to be invisible, blind, and deaf.
Oh? I thought I had to keep my ears pricked.
Well, yes, but only to what anyone wants from you. No excuses, and provide everything that anyone wants from you. Understood?
Absolutely. I'm a waiter, after all. Not some street gossip monger.
Correct. And if you manage not to botch it up, you can even rise on the social ladder. Not just anyone can serve the King of Hungary, but you'll manage it, right?
I know everything I need to. I can do it.
Excellent. Put away your things here. It's easier to serve with a lighter load. You can wait in the cubbyhole for the servants.
Our current Waffen arsenal is a joke, and
There with
on
a
top
picture
of
of the
that,
wife.
the army was requisitioning
Hopefully
from
I won't
it.
splash anyone's
Should the
shoes.
town reserve have worse weapons than any Räuber in the domain?
What are you
Boy,
getting
I'd
at,
like some
Eldris?
I'm saying that the bandits who freed Hinnick, the Dry Devil, used that thing. That Hackenbücher. Hand cannon. Can you believe it? Where did they get them?
Boy, are you
You're the
deaf or
one who
something?
should know where
Why?
they got them.
White.
Since you're a gunsmith.
What are you implying, Friedrich? All I'm saying is that they had them, Herrgott. It is eine Schande when outlaws have better weapons than the city
Boy,
garrison.
are you deaf
And
or
Herr
something?
König
I apologize.
surely knows
White.
this too.
What is it, Eldris? You smell a deal?
What I smell is that your stubborn heads
I
do not
apologize, sir.
realize what
Which one?
Schwierigkeit
Tokai.
this is.
That's the white.
The Dry Devil is running free. There are Raubritter everywhere in the region. We have the army bearing down, and you want to defend yourselves with a few rusty halberds.
And who is it you want to fight, exactly? The merciful King Sigismund is providing us with protection.
You can shove that damn
Isn't it?
picture.
Der König and his
I'm
army
sorry.
will not be
I
here
wasn't paying
forever.
attention.
Shut up! The king can arrive at any moment. What if he heard you?
What then? We're sitting atop the biggest silver heap in the kingdom, and we're supposed to defend it with brooms?
You're right, Eldris. But where can we get the coin for better equipment?
We can always confiscate the property of the king's
I'd
enemies.
like some monastery wine.
Nicht wahr?
Refill my
We
cup,
are
boy.
more than familiar with the Yemen
apologize,
state.
sir.
Maybe if he waived some of the taxes.
The king fears that this town will rise against him. He'll take the arming of the city's militia as a preparation for war.
So you suggest we just wait with arms crossed for the Raubritter to wreak havoc all around?
Sir?
We can always ask the king to bring order to the realm with his army.
Thank the
But
Lord.
then the Dörfler will rise up.
I'm afraid I see no solution of the current situation. We shall wait and see what His Majesty thinks about the matter. Maybe we can change his mind.
White up. Pour me
Vielleicht.
red wine. Monastery wine here.
Sir?
I can't believe this. Can't you tell red from white, waiter?
I'd like to report to the Honorable Council on the cleanliness of the city and the state of the public baths.
You mean baths or brothels?
Isn't it the same thing?
So, the cleanliness of the city is not what it should be. The current baths in the city fall
Come
far
here,
short of
friend,
covering all
and
the
bring that
citizens'
red
needs.
with you.
You're right, Jerome. But a woman named Betty has showed up on Hopbrink and wants to repair the baths that used to be there.
She's a protege of Maresh. Her efforts are commendable, but
Am
I
I
don't
to yell
think
here
she'll
like at a
succeed.
horse
It
fair?
takes a firm hand.
I said
Soft,
I wanted
feminine
red.
A moment ago, you were complaining
That's
there
the
weren't
way.
enough baths.
Good lad.
Shouldn't we support her?
Something like this is better handled by trustworthy
waiter.
people. like my friend,
More
bathhouse
wine,
proprietor
Master Bailiff?
Adam.
I have
The
enough
need for
wine.
cleanliness
Come
and
closer.
citizens' health should not be underestimated.
I need something from you. There is an item in my study that I confiscated from a female thief. She thought she could wriggle out of it by telling me who the item belongs to.
And what is it?
A silver goblet. She sneaked into Sir Ulrich's house and stole it. No one's noticed the theft yet. But if Ulrich finds out, he'll turn the city upside down to find the culprit. Go and get it. And don't you make a mess there, understand?
Where can I find this goblet?
Use your eyes and come right back with it, understood?
Money to spare. Arguing about who is going to wash where and how is a waste of time.
It's only a waste of time because we're always arguing about the same thing.
I'm sorry.
Not at all.
I wasn't paying
If you
attention.
finally admit
Can't
that it's
leave here
a
with the
trifle,
wine,
we
though.
wouldn't have to keep coming back to it.
A trifle? Do you ever walk the streets here? Sewage, rats, slop, and rubbish. The least we can do for the citizens is to provide them with a place to wash up.
What nonsense! Next, you'll want me to serve wine to everyone for free, too.
Why not?
Nice.
In Jerome Nas's
silver might
earthly
be.
paradise, everything would be free.
Don't put words in my mouth.
Gentlemen, let's agree to disagree.
You said you'd help me. So, did you find it?
I did, Master Bailiff. Here it is.
Not so loud. Show it here. That's it. And now go back to your job.
I got word that Rutard has pulled off another deed.
That's nothing unusual. That old weasel will never accept that the city isn't run his way, at least until His Majesty honors us with his visit. And as we know, Gunslin absolutely hates him.
Pour me he can hate all he wants, as long as he does no damage. Ulrich, what have you got to say about it?
Me? Well, I'm not sure what you're implying.
Horseshit! You know full
Monastery wine.
Everybody knows.
Here.
He wiped the floor with you.
Compose yourself,
thank
Adam,
the Lord.
and stop drinking. The king might come any time now.
That's right. Let's not burden the anointed monarch with such...
Me? Compose myself? Me?
Tokai, and a full
I beg your pardon. I demand that you...
Ruhe! Franz, please continue.
I'm speaking about the Rutard incident. You were there, weren't you?
Oh, that. Just a small
But I
misunderstanding.
wanted white.
We've sorted it out and everything's settled.
I apologize.
My
sir.
ears must be deceiving me. Are you defending Rutard? Besides, if his men attacked yours, as I've heard, then we have a good reason to punish him.
What happened there? Leave nothing out.
I don't
You
like
lad.
Rutard, true,
A cup
but
of bread.
in this case it
And don't you
really
skimp
was
on me.
nothing.
Everyone in the city gossiped about it. I heard there were several dead.
Did you? That's grossly exaggerated. I don't think
Well,
Rutard
thank the
will
Lord.
cause any trouble. He is sensible enough not to draw attention to himself while the king is here.
That's true. Because if we don't do something about him, the king himself will put an end to him, and soon.
Unless he puts an end to us first. God knows what he wants to tell us.
If nothing happened, there's no point in dwelling on it. Let's move on.
Things have got out of order in the town. Some adventurers decided to take the law into their own hands and restore the tradition of duels. It's not only barbaric, but also illegal. If we tolerate this,
I'd like
the
some
rabble in the
monastery
city
wine.
will go wild
Refill
and
my
do whatever
cup,
they want.
boy.
I suspect the gentleman from the city's sword fighting school brought this custom to us. That German, Menhard, is just hanging
hang
around
around
the
me.
market looking
Vanish,
for trouble.
you hear me?
Don't be ridiculous, Forsooker.
As you wish.
You act like you've never
Sir
been in a
Ulrich.
fight yourself.
Go.
And to
I
accuse
don't want to see
a
you again.
swordsmaster without a shred of proof.
Come here.
We're
for a
not some
moment.
old fishwives in the marketplace.
So you will just leave it be?
Proven
Refill, sir.
offences
Do you think
are
I come to the
punished by
council
the
just to
bailiff.
guzzle wine?
And that's
Come
that.
here.
There are more pressing matters to deal with.
What can I help you with, sir?
I left my gloves in the chapel. I took them off to pray, but then I rushed here and forgot to take them. I can't just get up and walk out now. But if you disappear for a little while...
Town was already laughing at us.
All right.
day long.
I'll get them.
I knew I could count on you. While you're at it, count how many figures on the mural have wings.
But why?
Because I'm bored. And because I told you. Get on with it.
Throw dirt on our work?
If I threw out everyone who complains over a beer, I'd soon be out of customers.
Ah, to hell with it. We'll never get anywhere like this. Why waste our time?
That was easy enough. And he wanted me to count the winged figures.
I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention.
So, let's see what you've got for me.
I found your gloves, sir.
Really? Let's see them. And did you count those winged figures?
I counted 32, sir.
That many? It seems a few more angels must have descended from heaven. For a royal waiter, you don't have much of a knack for counting.
There's the eternal dispute over the cathedrals. The building of the church is dragging on, and in the meantime, they are calling diocesan pilgrimages to settlers, right under our noses. It's just a village with a monastery, and they are going to make a royal mining city. Why can't we build faster?
Lad.
Hire more craftsmen, start with night shifts.
Because those so-called craftsmen are a band of parasites. You pay them, they come late, or report sick, and if they do come, their work is shit, and you have to pay someone else to put it right. It's a waste of time. I tell you, a waste of time.
Adam, don't interrupt the proceedings with your drunken ranting, even if you are in the right. And as for you, Enderlin, haven't you noticed there's a war going on? Are the experts from far off supposed to work with the city under siege?
And a full
Besides, I get the feeling there's something other than the welfare of the city behind your complaints.
Tokai, White!
Do you?
Are you deaf?
And what would that be?
Like, for instance, that you'd like to have your own altar there?
So what if I would?
Hold your horses, gentlemen. That space in the side nave is mine.
Then hell freezes over, my friend.
Sir?
Your place is at least 2 steps behind mine.
A swordsmith dares to insult me? Ha! I think not.
Worthy councillors, we are not on the marketplace to argue like fishwives. The construction of the cathedral is proceeding
You there,
slowly,
lad,
and
a cup
as
of
Jerome
bread,
says,
and
there
don't
is
you
a
skimp
war,
on me.
and there is neither money nor craftsmen. But with our joint powers, we will finish the building to the glory of God and our city, even if it takes 100 years.
Come now,
What is
waiter.
next
I wanted
in the
red.
order of business?
Sir?
Thank you, waiter.
I'm telling you, something is being planned.
Oh, I doubt it. No one's going to tackle Rootard.
Azonal Juchagase, Alegiop Katonaikat, Ishkelkinek Utra.
nothing to fear. Not you. And like this battle fights!
Come now, Father. Put a little life into your dying. Seen more cheerful priests at funerals.
I'd rather be at one than here. I hoped I'd never see this fortress again in my life.
Unpleasant memories?
You have no idea. I didn't part ways with my father on entirely good terms. 20 years ago.
And now you're 2 decades older and wiser. At your Ujit's parish, you spread the word of God to your flock, and you saved my neck and Henry's too. I'd say your father should be proud of you.
None of that matters a damn to him.
Who knows? Maybe that 20 years has changed a thing or two.
You know what? Let's drop the subject. What do you plan to do now you're a free man again?
What do you think? Get drunk, woo one of the local wenches, and wake up in the morning with no hose and a head like a church bell.
Have you perchance forgotten we're supposed to be deciding the future of the kingdom here?
I'll leave that to the older and wiser. And duller.
Do you know any of the guests here?
Most of them I'm seeing for the first time in my life. It's a pretty varied company. We've had bandits, nobles, burghers, a priest, and even a rabbi coming together here. It's like the start of some joke.
Wait a moment. Rabbi, you say? The Gutenberg rabbi?
Yeah. He came with a retinue. But for now, they're keeping mostly to themselves. Maybe you should go and welcome some of them. After all, this used to be your home. And you're a spiritual man too, so you should have something in common.
I wouldn't be too sure. But I suppose I can try. Who's that French fellow you brought here from Malashov?
The great Baron Brabant. Been everywhere, knows everything, and has the keys to half the kingdom. He's got more fairy tales than my old nanny.
Can he be trusted?
He's a blabbermouth, but a harmless one. Besides, he defended Gutenberg, and you know how that went. If he were on Sigismund's side, he'd hardly have been locked up with me.
How does it feel to breathe free air again?
What can I say? You can never truly appreciate freedom until someone locks you up for a while.
Or until you become a priest.
No fear of that in my case. I intend to enjoy life to the full. Wine, women, and song.
Dear me. I'd rather creep off into some corner with a full wineskin. But I suppose I'll have to introduce myself to the rest of the guests. Eh?
Indeed you should. After all, you are one of the lords of Rabosh.
Oh, don't start with that. I'd like to steer clear of the old man as long as I can.
In that case, you should sound out Radzig and Hanush and find out what they're actually planning.
I'm glad you finally accepted my invitation.
Good health to you, sir. I'm Godwin, a friend of that lad you arrived with, Henry. We don't know each other.
Baron Vauquelin Brabant, Chevalier d'Arezzo. The last of my line. I am a warrior, a traveler, a strategist, and also, à ma manière, a poet.
My word. Isn't that exhausting?
Mais non! And I'm glad to meet a new friend.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Baron. I knew right away we'd hit it off. How did you end up imprisoned in Malashov?
Ah, c'est une histoire compliquée. It was after I heroically led the defense of Gothenburg, and only lost it narrowly by an unfortunate turn of events.
That needs some explanation. What unfortunate turn of events?
Oh, misère. It is clear you have never been to war.
So, be so kind as to enlighten me.
When they broke through the defense, I ended up in captivity. It was only due to my acquaintances in a court that I escaped execution.
Oh. I thought it was Henry who saved your neck.
My neck was not at risk in Malashov. I may have still been a prisoner with my personal freedom restricted, but they never broke my spirit.
How come almost nobody here knows you?
I am operating, as they say. Incognito. My great benefit is my strong connection with the French court. There, everyone knows my name. Here in Bohemia, I'm still building my reputation, slowly, but surely.
Where have you been on your travels? Have you seen the ocean?
But of course! I was born by the sea. If you are interested in my greatest journeys, then I have traveled with a merchant caravan all the way to the Ottoman Empire. And if you are interested in my greatest deed, then that was perhaps saving the life of the King of France.
And you wouldn't by any chance know the Pope, personally?
Which one do you mean? I spoke briefly with Boniface IX when I was sojourning in Rome. A pleasant fellow.
Such rare guests. One wouldn't expect to find among Christians representatives of your community. I'm Godwin. My greetings to you.
Peace be with you. Neither would one expect a priest here. And yet...
How do you know I'm a priest?
It's not difficult to tell. After all, we have much in common. And we are both a little on unfamiliar ground here. I'm Yehuda, leader of the rabbinical court in the sacred community of Gutenberg. And this is Samuel, my aide.
Who would rather not be here at all. Why did we have to come here, Sadie? Can you not see everyone is staring at us?
Because we all need to help each other in this time of need. And why would they not stare when you are frowning so?
Are you here to arrange some trade?
We have more serious matters to attend to here than gaining a few groschen. The situation in the town and the kingdom is unsustainable. The whole land is on the brink of destruction. You have men and weapons. We have the means to sustain them.
Why are you telling this to a Koimer? You wanted to deliver what we brought to the Margrave and quickly leave.
Everything in good time, Samuel. We have just arrived, after all.
Did you come to lend money to the lords?
Not to lend, but to give. Help given to the needy is repaid only by God.
You don't even know if you can trust them. With that money, we could have paid mercenaries ourselves.
You remind me of my young friend Henry. He's a bit of a hothead too.
Henry? That messenger of Radzik Copula?
You know each other. You're both around the same age.
That would be him. We did not get off to a very good start.
I reckon the two of you would hit it off. He's reliable and has his heart in the right place. For a young stripling, he's been through plenty. It's not so long since his parents were killed in Skalitz. He was supposed to become a blacksmith, and instead, he's roaming the world, risking his neck at every turn.
Wait, a blacksmith, you say? From Scarlet's.
Aye, that's right. Did you know anyone there?
I knew of someone. A blacksmith by the name of Martin.
My daughter knew him most, and that is why Samuel is in this world. For our numerous sins.
Maybe he was my father, but he certainly didn't act like one. Ma raised me on her own.
And that was all for the best.
Why? He should have taken care of me, but instead he fathered another bastard.
Don't make hasty judgments. As far as I know, Martin didn't have any other children. At least, none of his own. He took in Henry, and raised him as his own, on the orders of the Lord of Skalitz, Sir Radzik Kobila, Henry's real father.
I don't care if he took care of 20 other Mamsas.
That boy's blood father denied him, just like yours did to you.
A person can't choose their parents. And Henry only found out about it recently.
Enough. I'd rather have a drink. Will you have one too, Zayde?
For that, there will be more suitable times.
Good health.
L'chaim.
Dear friends and allies, in these troublesome times, you all know why we're here. The question remains, what to do next? Sigismund is facing troubles in Hungary, and here, too, he is up against resistance. He's a capable strategist, but a poor diplomat. Mark my words. If we wait him out until winter, he will leave of his own accord.
By winter, he'll have torched all our fortresses and carried off everything that we possess.
Are we seriously gonna wait and cower in a corner? Or are we gonna drive them out in shame? A few well-planned raids and we could have him in our fists!
At what price? Have you got men to spare? Has any of you got men and money to spare?
We don't have men out there.
Yes, we do.
We do not.
Jobst is right. That horse son won't fall easily.
Only we can't wait.
Are we to get ourselves killed?
Or end with nothing?
Do you have any? I'm not going to die.
Friends, we'll get nowhere like this. Let's adjourn ourselves and try to think it through.
Well, that went just as expected. Good health. And to yours. Could it have gone any other way when there's so many of us here? I would have expected a bit more sense from Jobst, of all people. He made an amateur's mistake. But it's hard to be angry with him when he's trying to ingratiate himself with everyone. By the way, I'm John of Liechtenstein. And you must be Godwin, the son of... That's not a thing I've ever boasted of. How do you know that? I have my sources. From what I've heard about you, I'd judge you could be quite useful to me at today's gathering. Is that so? Indeed. And that's why I'd like to ask something of you. As it happens, I've got nothing better to do anyway. Excellent. I expect we can agree that Jobst's plan has certain shortcomings? That's a weak word. And the way it stands at the moment, he'll never get the support of the council. But I have an idea how to change that. Well, I'm curious how you hope to shut Zizka up and satisfy the ones who want peace. We'll sit and wait quietly until Sigismund withdraws of his own volition, as Jobst proposes, but we'll be waiting in the military camp of our huge new army.
If Sigismund decides to mount an attack on the camp, it'd be a massacre.
Ah, but it won't. Sigismund's army is demoralized and weakened. And besides, he's running out of resources. He's able to tackle fortresses that aren't able to defend themselves, but he won't engage an equal force on the battlefield.
But he can't retreat either. That would be a disgrace.
And that's exactly why we'll wait until he's called back to Hungary by events there. For the plan to work, we need allies, their money and their determination. We've already set the ground for it. We just need negotiators who will push the right people in the right direction.
Are you saying you set everything in motion even before Jobst?
More like in parallel, but without his knowledge. If we find support and make it look like the whole thing was his idea, we'll all win.
Why are you doing all this anyway?
Because I want to put a stop to the senseless deaths. And also because I'm happier with Wenceslas on the Bohemian throne.
You've got an interesting way of approaching things.
You're certainly not the first to tell me that. I take it as a compliment.
I'll help you. What exactly should I do?
I'll give you 3 names. Bocek of Kunstadt, Hamann Alder, and Anna of Waldstein. If you can get those 3 on our side, we've won the day. Meanwhile, I'll take care of Jobst.
Why me, of all people?
Because you've got a head on your shoulders. You know how to talk, and you're not just out for your own good. You and your friend Henry are similar in that respect. That's why I know I can count on you both. There aren't many like you two left.
What if it doesn't work?
I refuse to even consider that outcome, because it would mean slow but certain defeat for all of us.
Tell me a bit more about those people, so I know who I'm dealing with.
Certainly. Who do you want to start with?
I'll get on it then. Wish me luck.
I wish us both luck. Before the day is over, the die will be cast.
Success to our plans.
I'll tell you, nobody has the likes of these.
I'd like to check your horses out and see if they're as good as you say.
Pah, even better. But you won't believe it until you see for yourself.
And you might not believe your eyes when you do see them. Well, well, we have a new guest.
I wanted to...
You wanted to apologize for crashing into my home without it by your leave. Or to arrest my guests some more?
I want to have a word with Older.
Well, I'm having a word with you.
I apologize, Father.
For interrupting our conversation? Or just for being you?
Is that your...
Unfortunately. Speak up then. What are you doing here?
I came with a delegation from Sir Hanush of Lipa.
Is this a joke?
Why so strict, Martin?
20 years ago, he was nothing but a cheeky brat, only interested in wenches and booze. I got him a place at the Archbishopry to have some sense beaten into his head. Only it wasn't long before they kicked him out. And then I find out he's settled in some backwater parish in Sassau. But he took his boozing and whoring along with him, lost everything, and then came creeping home again. Huh?
Try saying it again a little louder. They might not have heard you in the outer courtyard.
You have the impertinence to show me your face? After the way you disgraced our whole family?
You're exaggerating, like you've always done.
Me? Exaggerating? You're the one who turned my home into a house of ill repute. Your whores wandering around as if they owned the place.
Oh, actually, anything fun was strictly banned under your roof. But maybe you ought to try it yourself sometime. Then maybe you wouldn't be such a bitter old grouch.
You're dishonoring your host.
I can't dishonor someone who has no honor. If you had any, you'd be...
That's enough!
Christopher.
You won't get away with those insults. I challenge you to a duel.
I'm not happy about it, but I accept. This isn't how I imagined my first meeting with my brother.
Make room for us. We'll just settle a very private matter. It's an honorable duel, man against man. Stay back!
Left arm lower!
Enough! That will do. My God. Where did you learn to wield a sword like that? Father always said you were a good-for-nothing boozer. But you could teach sword fighting in a school.
I was in a war. Right after they kicked me out of the archbishopric. And you ought to know yourself. Not all the faults that Father sees are real.
Well, I apologize for going off like that. I had to, so that...
So Father would be satisfied. I know. Only he'll never be satisfied. The sooner you realize that, the better.
I thought he was the way he was because his first son let him down. And he hoped at least his second would become something.
Not at all. I remember him the same since I was a nipper. When I was 6 years old, I fell off a horse and broke my leg. He wouldn't talk to me for a week because I'd let him down.
The first time he took me hunting, he let me starve for 3 days until I was able to shoot my first hare.
Only 3 days? He got soft.
I always wondered who you were. There was never much talk about you at home.
Look, I really did fuck up everything I could. I brawled and boozed until they threw me out of my own parish. But now, I have a chance to put things to rights a little.
And that's why you want to talk to Alder.
I've got to get him on our side and to cooperate with us.
Aren't we all on the same side?
Maybe everyone's saying that. But it's time to put it into action.
After your encounter with Father, it won't be easy to get to Alder. Actually, I don't think you should even attempt it. Unless you want to anger Father even more.
What else can I do, though?
I'll talk to him myself. He'll hear me out for sure. But you'll have to trust me. And tell me what it's all about.
All right, then. You've heard Yob's plan, right? It's a nice idea, but we can't wait around without an army to back us up.
Only no one's going to pay for one, because that would be an outright admission of rebelling against Sigismund.
Alder's got some clout with the councillors and burghers who are loyal to Sigismund. If he agrees, they'll follow.
I expect Alder's not the only one you're after.
You got that right.
Leave Alder to me. The plan sounds sensible, and he's no fool.
I don't know how to thank you.
You can drag me to a tavern sometime. Pa doesn't need to know about it.
You're starting to sound like a brother.
Godwin, you wouldn't be avoiding me. We didn't have much time for conversation on the way here. Let's rectify that.
With pleasure, sir. As it happens, there's something I'd like to ask you. What are you expecting from today's gathering, my lord?
Well, I have no great expectations. But, all going well, we may be able to establish some joint steps towards the future. As long as we proceed without prior agreement and mutual support, we will be very unlikely to achieve any progress.
where did you leave Sir Divish? Surely he's not too old to miss out on such an event.
Haven't you heard? Lady Stephanie is with child. No one even imagined Divish would produce an heir at his age.
As they say, it doesn't matter who kneaded the dough, as long as there's a pie in the oven.
Godwin.
Well, it could be a miracle. Praise the Lord! I couldn't help but notice your son has a bit of a talent for getting into trouble.
To put it mildly, but not to do him an injustice, knowing young Lord Capon, he undoubtedly contributed to that more than a little. Although, if they didn't pull each other out of trouble, God knows where they'd be now.
Wise words. Still, Henry's come a long way on a thorny path. I trust you're rightfully proud of him.
You know, I am. And Martin would also be glad, even though Henry chose a different path than he.
May God grant him eternal rest. May I have a word with you, sir?
You? Anytime. With you, at least, there's some sensible conversation. Unlike this pack of conceited upstarts.
Young Lord Capon is finally free again. Let's hope he'll take better care of himself now.
He got a harsh lesson. But at least he might remember to lay off that tomfoolery of his for a while. But if not, war will make a man of him soon enough.
Do you think there's really going to be a war? I mean a proper one, not just sitting around and talking about it.
I sincerely hope so. Whoever sits around risks nothing. It's time to get off our asses and take action.
Have you got something against the Kuttenberg nobles?
Their forefathers lived up to their ears in dung. But thanks to the royal mines, they were born with silver spoons up their asses. And they think that can turn their blood blue.
But surely they're not all like that. And they are our allies.
Allies or not, someone ought to show them their place.
What do you think about Jobst?
Are you testing me? Jobst called this assembly and he wants things to turn out well. We have to trust him.
To turn out well for whose benefit, though? Some are up to their elbows in silver and blood, so others can live in freedom.
Better make sure you're among the latter, then. And in the meanwhile, help the former to keep their losses to a minimum.
Who the hell does he think he is?
Too hard.
Burgers. Sir Bocek, I need to speak with you for a moment.
A man hardly puts his cup to his lips and someone comes along to put a flea in his ear. Jobst comes up with a plan as full of holes as a beggar's shoes, and now you're all jostling to win me over for him.
On the contrary, I've come here with an idea how to improve it.
Does that improvement include a few thousand men-at-arms? If not, you can go to the devil with it.
A few thousand men-at-arms as a convincing argument. And 100 horsemen on top. Only in order to get them, we need coin.
You've got my attention, but not my money yet.
How can I persuade you?
I need guarantees of security. I don't want to end up like Rutard.
Of course. Once it comes to protecting property, ideals go out the window.
You can talk, since you haven't got a pot to piss in yourself. If you were in my position, you'd think differently. I have a lot of property, lots of subjects to look after, and along with that, the Lord blessed me with a large family. I can't risk it all in a conflict with Sigismund.
So you need guarantees that you won't be left standing in the cold if you openly oppose Sigismund.
My guarantee is called Yitka. She's my niece. If I succeeded in marrying her off to another strong house, I'll have the certainty that I won't be left alone.
Maybe it's enough to find a suitable groom among the allies.
Perhaps someone of suitable standing who Yitka would also gladly accept. I don't want her to be unhappy.
I believe Liechtenstein is single.
And an uncertain party. Besides, he's inconvenient for Sigismund. Yitka could end up being a pawn to blackmail both of us.
I'd be honored to oblige. I'm in my prime.
Forget about it. Even if by some miracle you could manage to sire children, you'd die before you could raise them.
The truth doesn't offend me, Lord. But I had to give it a try. How about young Lord Capel?
He's a youngster still.
What's wrong with him? He's young, he's handsome, women are fighting over him. Yitka will like him, and he'll give her a whole bunch of children.
And to half the wenches in his domain too, eh? On the other hand, the lords of Lipa have a good reputation, and Hanush can always be relied on, despite his temper. Maybe it's not such a bad idea.
I'll convey your offer to Lord Capel. If he agrees, we can celebrate our alliance.
I don't care what the young lord thinks. Hanush is the one to decide. If he agrees, I'll be happy to support your plan.
Pushing a friend to tie the knot to save the kingdom. Things have come to a pretty pass.
The kingdom will not forget his sacrifice. Now stop dilly-dallying and go and tell Hanush.
Good day to you, sir.
Greetings.
Look at that. And
Sir Hanush, I bring happy tidings.
You do? Let's hear it then.
I've gained us a powerful ally.
And who is it? I hope it's not one of those Kuttenberg stuffed guts.
On the contrary, it's Bocek, the elder of Kunstadt and Podjebrad.
Kunstadt? My Christ, he's the last one I'd have expected to step up. How the hell did you do it?
Well, I explained to him how such an alliance could be mutually beneficial.
Mutually? What do you mean?
He's got a pretty serious personal interest in this... bond.
Stop beating around the bush and spit out what you promised him.
Lord Kunstad has a niece, so... I arranged a betrothal for young Lord Capon, with your blessing if you agree.
Hans Capon is to marry Yitka of Kunstadt. Godwin, you conniving old bastard!
Oh, fuck.
I don't believe it. So, young Hans is to marry Kunstadt's daughter?
Niece.
If you're serious, I'll make sure that you get the Rattay parish.
Or you could make me the abbot of Sassa. Or what about a bishopric?
Forget it. Soon I'll be paying for a wedding. Not a word to Hans. I want to tell him myself. But let's drink to it, shall we?
Cheers!
Cheers to you, and to your parleying skills.
What bothered you so much? You were real fussy, lad. Hi, I know. You said that already. But why?
Why what?
You seem a bit out of sorts. Anything wrong?
Oh, these grand aristocratic assemblies are nothing for me. I'd be happier if they just told me in the morning how it all went and what my boys have to do next.
But then you'd miss all the grub and the booze, and the gossip.
Oh, and have you heard anything interesting here?
Let's hope young Lord Capon manages to stay free for a while longer. Ever since leaving Ratai, he's gone from one pile of trouble to another.
That's one thing you can always count on him for. I'll gladly wager with you he'll end up in some other shit by evening.
God forbid. Henry's not here now to pull him out of it.
In that case, it'll be up to you. I'm sure you wouldn't leave him to disgrace himself in front of Hanush.
It seems Liechtenstein's looking for allies. For his own ends.
And how's he gonna do it? Didn't you see them all fighting tooth and nail here just a while ago?
Well, different approaches work with different people.
The only approach that'll work with Sigismund is open resistance. Maybe on the field of battle?
A lot of people think the wealthy burghers will stick with Sigismund, whether out of fear or convenience.
No, that's to be expected. As long as Sigismund has the city council under his thumb, no one will rock the boat.
Well, at least there's a few individuals here, like Ruthard.
Sigismund confiscated his castle and half his estates. That'd be enough to make a man mad. Not to mention that his son was killed in the siege of the city.
Sabuchek, your niece Yivka can start preparing for her wedding.
So Hanush agreed, without reservations.
Indeed.
Then I will fulfill my end of the bargain without reservation.
Thank you, Lord of Kunstead.
Enough formality. We'll have a drink. What do you say?
Cheers to the beautiful Lady Yivka and the unhappy Lord Capon.
Here's to a good bargain.
Good day.
God be with you.
Jesus Christ be praised.
Everything all right? You look a bit out of sorts.
I can't wait for it to end so we can get out of here.
I reckon you'd have to be pretty brave to come and mingle with the Kuttenberg lords.
Or pretty pissed off.
Or that.
We will leave as soon as we can. Anyway, all of these worthy gentlemen will be relieved when we are out of sight.
I've got some good news and some bad news for you.
The bad news is there's hardly any females in this whole damned place. There's some old bat standing there with two young girls, but she watches over them like a mother hen. So at least tell me the good news.
You're going to get married.
Good one. Is she at least pretty?
I don't know. I've never seen her.
You're really a barrel of laughs, Godwin. Wait till Hanush hears this. Now, enough nonsense. Let's have a drink to your health and my freedom.
To your health. Sir, I don't believe I've had the honor.
Nor I, until now. I am Sir Conrad, Lord of Wächter, and you are the heir to the Lord of Raborsch, are you not?
Used to be. My father somewhat disowned me some time ago.
And I used to be the Royal Mint Master, until the king decided to replace me.
Are you going to support the Margrave's proposal?
I haven't quite decided yet. It's true that displeasure against the king is noticeably growing in Kuttenberg, but if our rebellion were to come face to face with Sigismund's army, I'd be risking my future, if not my life.
Do you think you might get your position as Mint Master back again?
I doubt it. Half the town hates Vavak, but no one would even think of saying a word against him. And he knows that his security stands and falls with his function, so he clings to it tooth and nail.
We've got quite a bit in common, wouldn't you say?
More than you think. If my memory doesn't deceive me, you serve as a parish priest. So I recollect, at least, from my recent discussions with Martin.
Served. That's in the past.
Even so. Before King Wenceslas appointed me his mint master, I was a priest. I was even being groomed to become a bishop.
And now look at us. We have cast off our robes and merrily hatched plots against Sigismund.
There's no point in waiting for divine intervention. On the contrary, the current state of affairs demands quite a secular approach.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise.
You say you're a poet. How about a verse or two to amuse us?
Jamais. Is poetry nothing but a fuss to you? Is a poet a gesture for amusement? I think not. To recite, I require the proper mood. And besides, few here would understand me.
Certainly. Have no fear.
What was I just thinking about?
Sir Kunzlin, I haven't yet had the pleasure.
You're Godwin, aren't you? I've heard about you from Martin.
Oh dear.
Have no fear. I know Martin well, and I know he's prone to exaggeration. Anything I can do for you?
Will you support Margrave Jobst's plan?
That depends on what it is. If he decides to just wait, then no. I can't take that risk any longer.
Do you think we should look for help somewhere else?
I came here for one reason alone. To hear a plan of attack against Sigismund. If Jobst doesn't lay one out before me, I'll try and find someone more courageous.
I expect you know Lady Anna of Waldstein well.
Why wouldn't I? She's joined at the hip with my daughter Rosa.
I hope she doesn't feel unwelcome here. I've heard she's a bit of a thorn in the side for some of the gents here.
To her own relatives, certainly. But I'll tell you one thing. I knew her husband, Wenzel, and he married her out of love. And I cared for him devotedly till the day he died. And it wasn't a quick death.
So it's not true what they say? That his demise was convenient for her?
Vile slander. People just can't forgive her for coming into a fortune as a young widow.
What do you think of the rabbi's offer? The Kuttenberg Jewish community is large, and their support could change everything.
Or nothing. To be honest, I've no idea what to expect of the rabbi's offer.
He said he was interested in an alliance, though, didn't he?
Aye, but still he must be aware that whatever happens, it won't change the lot of his people.
So you don't trust him?
And isn't it natural? It's not just faith in the walls of their quarter that separates us. They live in our city, but they're more foreign than the Germans or the Hungarians. God be with you.
Your Grace, may I disturb you for a moment?
Certainly.
Godwin, I came with the lords from Rattay.
Ah, now I remember. Forgive me, there are many guests, and I only have one head.
Lord Liechtenstein asked me for help. in our collective interest. But if you'll allow me, sir, I'd like to ask you a few questions, so I'm clear about what I can do to help.
Indeed. And what would you like to know?
Your plan, if I may be so bold, has a few gaping holes. Sigismund may attack anywhere and any time, and we have no way to defend ourselves. You want to wait, fine. But you should at least give some assurance to the lords that they'll live to see it through.
You amuse me, Godwin. A parish priest teaching the Margrave of Moravia about politics. I know you mean well, but try to look at it with cold reasoning.
I'd reason better with an army at my back.
Do you realize how much such an army costs? The gentlemen here have trouble agreeing about much lesser sums.
And if a way could be found, and the means...
Before that happens, Sigismund will take his shoes off and head off to Rome barefoot.
Do you still think the lords will agree at the end of the day? I'm beginning to lose hope.
That's the way of politics. Some are persuaded by silver, some by a well-chosen word. Others are convinced by tempting promises.
And if none of that does the trick?
Such cases usually end in quarrels between former allies, while the enemy is laughing up his sleeve.
John of Liechtenstein is acting in your interest, isn't he?
That was the original agreement. And on the outside, it still looks that way, I trust.
I understood that he was on our side.
Yes, he is. Only, he is slowly starting to act more and more on his own initiative.
Although, that doesn't have to be a bad thing, does it?
He still lacks the experience to be capable of evaluating some situations. But he is persuasive, and easily wins people to his side. Unfortunately.
But it was you who sent him to Kuttenberg, wasn't it?
True. But I certainly never told him to hole up in the Jewish quarter and pursue his own private plans there. And by doing so, he put both himself and our common interests in jeopardy.
I wasn't expecting to meet the rabbi of Kuttenberg here.
Really? Half of Kuttenberg has accumulated debts with usurers that they cannot repay, or even do not intend to. The rabbi knows his people are under threat, and that Sigismund will not protect them if something should befall, similar to what happened in Prague.
So they naturally took a stance against Sigismund.
What's more, if Wenceslas regains the throne, they can expect him to reward them.
On whose side do the wealthy burghers stand?
From the entire elite of Kuttenberg. Only Kunzelin Ruthard and Haman Alder have come here. Not that I'm surprised. The king keeps a close eye on them through the city council, seeking the slightest pretext to confiscate their wealth.
But if Ruthard and Alder can be persuaded...
We don't need to convince Ruthard. And Martin is already working on Alder. But he might be pushing a little hard.
How are you getting on so far?
Aside from the happy family reunion, everything is going according to plan. Thanks for asking.
I'd almost forgotten about that little detail. But fortunately, it wasn't too much of a fuss.
Father is getting old. There were times when he could keep yelling at me half the day.
Keep it up. We've still got a lot of work to do. Just don't overdo it with the wine. No one takes a walking wineskin seriously.
God be with you, noble lady. There's something I'd like to ask of you.
God be with you. What would that be?
Your diplomatic support. And your money.
No beating around the bush, eh? I like that. But what do you want my money for?
Margrave Yob's plan has some gaps, milady. We need to gather enough resources to...
To muster an army that Margrave can't afford on his own?
Christ. Be praised. You're astute.
I should say so. All sorts of people have their eyes on my money, and divining their intentions is a necessity. Although, between the two of us, it isn't hard to figure out what Liechtenstein is after.
How do you know Liechtenstein is behind it?
I know most of the people here very well. Many of them certainly have doubts about the Margrave's plans. But they wouldn't dream of stating them aloud. While it seems that Lord Liechtenstein, on the contrary, sees his opportunity.
I'd say you have a better nose for people than most of this crowd.
Not only for people, but also for good food and wine. And beneficial deals.
Then you're in the right place. This occasion provides all of those things.
The wine here is average. The cooks lack imagination. And I have yet to hear any interesting offers. So, to the point. What is it that Liechtenstein wants from me?
Nothing more than support and resources for an army to parley more effectively with Sigismund.
Nothing more? I'd say that's plenty. And why ask me for help? Why should I, of all people, take the risk?
You manage large estates. In return for your generosity, we offer you protection.
I've managed quite well up to now, taking care of my own resources. If you want me to support you, you must give me a good reason. Perhaps a favor in return.
Do you have something in particular in mind?
Well, one of the guests here has something that shouldn't get into the wrong hands.
Who's that?
Harman Alder. Now, if you were to switch these papers for the ones he brought with him, I would support your proposal.
Have you fallen out with the town councillor?
No. Alder is innocent in the matter. My relatives from the House of Bartosz are behind it all. They're disappointed that I dared outlive my husband, and the fact that I'm handling his estates makes their hair stand on end.
And these papers I'm supposed to switch, what do they concern?
My relatives somehow dug up some trade contracts between myself and certain undesirable parties.
You were dealing with the enemy.
They were not the enemy at the time. My conscience is clear, but I'll rest easier when those papers are in my hands.
I'm supposed to rob an ally.
Harman Alder was given the documents to deliver to the council. He hasn't yet had a chance to look at them, so he won't even notice the difference.
And the papers I'm supposed to plant on Alder?
Just insignificant documents. If the incriminating ones disappeared without a trace, it would arouse suspicion.
All right, I'll help you. Or at least I'll give it a try.
Alder will surely have the papers in his saddlebags, which he left in the shed on the outer courtyard. Bring them to me, and put these there instead. But watch yourself. Odorim's groom has eyes everywhere.
God bless.
Aren't you a bit bored?
What's your problem? The horses are fed and watered. I'm not idle.
God forbid. But standing around here must be a pain in the arse, no? You might get thirsty.
Not really. What of it?
I left something behind in the shed and now I need it. So, would you let me in?
Is that so? And what are you after there?
Wine. For Alderman Alder.
Wine? Like there's not rivers of the stuff all around here. Stop drinking and don't bother me. And if I see you creeping around this shed, you'll answer to me. Hey, you! What are you creeping in here for? I told you it's out of bounds.
I'm waiting here for you.
Oh, how's that?
I've been watching you for a while, and I have a feeling you do well to talk a little. In conspectu Dei.
Who in God's name are you?
In God's name indeed. I'm a priest, and I know a wretched sinner when I see one.
Is it that obvious? Christ above.
Don't blaspheme. It'll help you more to confess.
And in the morning, when I met him, I swore I never laid eyes on his daughter, even though my back was scratched raw from our roll in the hay.
That's a mortal sin. Lying with a woman that you're not joined with in holy matrimony. And then lying about it too. That's already 2 commandments broken for the price of 1.
I'll go to hell for that, won't I?
You won't. As long as you repent. Be contrite, fast and pray. 10 Our Fathers. Ego te absolvo.
I'll start right away. Thank you, Father.
Greetings to you, friend. I've got those papers from Alder for you.
Quiet! You don't have to announce it to everyone.
My lady, with all the clamor going on here, I can hardly hear my own thoughts. Here they are.
You're more capable than I expected. Thanks for the help.
You're welcome. And now you're part of the bargain.
As agreed. I will support Liechtenstein's proposal with both words and money.
Thank you, noble lady. God will...
Yes, quite. But let's drink to our bargain, Godwin.
How could I refuse a toast with such a fine lady? To your health, Lady Anna.
And to the success of our efforts.
I'm still hoping it worked.
Gentlemen, I think we can raise our goblets to the successful conclusion of the negotiations.
Is this supposed to be your secret weapon?
Like I said, miracles happen where you least expect them. Tell me, Godwin of the House of Odorin, what news do you bring us?
I bring nothing from the House of Odorin. But the widow of Waldstein and Sir Bocek of Kunstadt will support our cause.
Both of them? Good heavens, what did you promise them?
This is going to be a long story, and I could use a drink. So if you'll excuse me, my lords?
It would seem that we have all benefited from the break in these proceedings. New alliances have been formed. And I have also changed my plans. We shall still wait for Sigismund to withdraw his troops of his own accord. But we will wait with an army at our backs.
Yes! And how are we to raise an army? Wasn't it made clear at the meeting that no one wants to take the risk?
The only thing made clear was that each of us alone is weak, and that we could not find common ground. But that has now changed.
King Wenceslas is, by the will of God, the balbatim of all his subjects, not only the Christians, our community and not only ours. They'll give you coin.
The Kuttenberg houses are still loyal to King Wenceslaus, and we stand with Lord Ruthard.
And if that's not enough, the houses of Leipa and Kunstadt will unite and march side by side.
My niece, Yitka, will take young Lord Capon as her husband.
Lords Kunstadt, Hanush, Radzig, and I will set out immediately. God willing, we will be back within 3 weeks, along with an army.
Now those are words worthy of a nobleman.
My friend, I still believe that words are more powerful than swords. And our words will ring in 1,000 voices to the glory of King Wenceslas.